Today in class, we talked about what grouping does in Illustrator, and it's really beneficial because most of the time you're going to work with objects that have multiple pieces. So it's really important to learn how to select multiple objects first, even before you get into grouping. So let's go over two methods of selecting more than one thing at once. In order to select more than one thing at once, you can make something called a marquee. To make a marquee, you make sure you're on your selection tool and you simply click and drag and make this box. Now, it might be a little difficult to see, but there's these little dots to let you know that you've made a marquee. You basically make a box over everything you want to select. When you release your mouse, you know you have it all selected because it has something called a bounding box. A bounding box just shows you the edges of something. So you can see that it's selected all the stars. Now, as long as I select in an object, not on the clear part, but like an actual object, I can move everything together as one piece, and it's a lot easier and quicker. Another method of selecting more than one thing at once is selecting something. Holding down Shift on your keyboard and then selecting something else. Do not release Shift until you're happy with all your selections. Let's say I select too many things. With Shift still selected, I can click again on the object and it will deselect it for me. So it acts as both an add and a subtract if I still hold down Shift. And now if I also click on my objects, release Shift, I can move multiple objects at the same time. Now that we know how to select multiple things at once, we're going to start grouping things. So you're going to select each one of these animals and group them, and then move them over into the background and rearrange them and resize them so they fit into this forest. You can use the method of clicking and holding Shift to select on every piece of the animal, or you can simply select by making a marquee over the whole entire shape and then grouping it. We learned two ways of grouping an object. We can do this the long way, object group, or we can hit Control G on our computers. It does the same thing. You know you've grouped something because when you click away and you go to move it, it should move as one individual piece and not as separate pieces. Let's say I forget to group something and move it, I can tell because I've only moved one part of this little bunny. To ungroup objects, it's Control Shift G, or select the object, go to Object Ungroup. You know you've ungrouped the object, you may have to deselect first, meaning click somewhere else. But when you click on each individual piece, you'll see them moved over. And that's all you're going to do for part one. Practice selecting multiple things at once, grouping and ungrouping.